So if I had to ask you to write a list of the world's wealthiest people, of billionaires, you'd probably write names like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, maybe Warren Buffett, Donald Trump. Of course, he might be a president now. Maybe even Richard Branson would crack that list. But if I had to say name Africa's 5 wealthiest people, most of us would be stumped. And that's exactly what inspired Chris Bishop, managing editor of Forbes Africa, to write a compilation of Africa's billionaires. And that's simply what the book is titled. And it is filled with inspiring and I think sometimes truly unbelievable stories of the triumph of human spirit. Not in Europe, not in the Western world, but here in Africa. Chris, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
I would imagine an incredible journey you've been on compiling this list. So my only question to you this morning, how do I become a billionaire? I'm African, I'm here. What do I do?
Well, all you need is hard work, determination. You need, let me tell you, being a billionaire sees no creed, no colour, no political connections, no sex, no nothing, right? Basically, being a billionaire, you have to see that opportunity and you have to be absolutely ruthless in hunting it down. But also, you need that bit of luck as well. I mean, you look at Reginald Mengi from Tanzania. I mean, one day, chartered accountant went out to go and find a pen on the streets of Dar es Salaam, couldn't find anything. So all of a sudden he bumped into this guy and said, hey, look, I've got a relative in Kenya who can... There was a shortage of pens in the socialist days of Tanzania. I've got a relative in Kenya who can import the parts. He said, brilliant. So he invested his money, imported the parts, and he made them on his bedroom floor. Thousands and thousands of pens, and they sold at a premium. It's the first step to being worth about $600 million.
My word. And I think I could add to those prevailing conditions a little adversity, a little bit of a challenge, because that is what Africa is. Some people see challenges, some see opportunities. Relate to us some of the most inspiring stories that you came across.
Incredible. I mean, that's what I say. All these billionaires, something have in common is the fact that when we see trouble, when we see bad times, they see an opportunity, they see a way around. I mean, you look at Aliko Dangote, the richest man on the continent, $20-odd billion. And his dream, and he saw the fact that Africa was building, Africa was coming forward, and he thought, this whole lot, it needs, that's Herman Mashaba, that's somebody else, but anyway, but this whole thing, it needs cement. This continent needs cement to build itself, right? And he went out there, he went through hell and high water, all kinds of times he fell on his face, and he built cement factories and made his fortune.
Maybe you can relate to us the story.
Mashaba.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a guy, I mean, now mayor of Johannesburg. I mean, one thing I like about him is that he doesn't airbrush his past, right? He admits that he's both took and dealt in marijuana while he was a young fellow. He said he stole things. He said we always had to steal things. We were very, very poor. He's very, very honest about his roots. But he saw an opportunity in the fact that people wanted to fix their hair and the wet look in the 80s, you know, with Michael Jackson.
Glow, yeah.
And he came up with Black Like Me, his products, and he made an absolute fortune. Sold it to Colgate for a fortune, bought it back at a song. And he still had investment companies for years, made a lot of money. But again, very, very... Education, again, education doesn't see it. I mean, he had a very, very thin education. He got halfway through...
School of Hard Knocks.
School of Hard Knocks. No, actually, funny enough, Herman Mashaba used to be a Knox man, a dice player. That's how he made his money when he started. Another thing he's not shy about talking about, and the fact that he said it was a risky job in the Shebeens. You were taking money off your fellows who've gone and work in gardens in Pretoria. And if they get fed up, you get knifed.
Man,
you get stabbed.
They'll end it right there.
Narendra Raval. Another one of my favourites, the Steel King from East Africa. I mean, this guy was absolutely stuffed. He was a steel maker, and what happened, he had all this steel piled up. He was pushed out of the market in East Africa by a cartel, and then there was suddenly a world steel shortage in the early 90s. He had $1.5 million worth of stuff just sitting there in the fact, and he sold it overnight, and that's what made his fortune.
Oh, man, I love the diversity within those stories, but we do start to see a common thread, and that one common thread is that they are based here in Africa. Mr. Bishop, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I cannot wait to sink my teeth into this. The timing is just right for our continent right now. So go and get your hands on this book, and hopefully it'll inspire your first step towards not millions, billions.